Welcome back, everybody, to the Casual Football Friend Show with me, Zane.
And me, Taryn.
And it's good to be back, isn't it, Taryn? It's good to be back after that last one.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in so long.
Yeah, I feel like I'm seeing you more than my own family. It is definitely not having a negative impact on my mental health. What is that face?
Having a negative impact on your mental health.
Yeah, that's definitely having...
This is what you see when you sleep. Oh, that sounded a bit weird.
It's giving me some feelings, definitely. I think you're just showing off the fact that you finally have like a light in front of you that is, I
know, I have lighting now. It's amazing.
We're slowly getting more and more professional as we do this. Eventually, we're going to have like actual microphones, actual podcast setup, and a proper video feed that isn't just us screen recording on Discord.
Yeah, most people would say, I'm starting a podcast. Let me get all the equipment together and then start the podcast. But no. We were like, no. We're going to assemble as the podcast goes on over several weeks.
That's why it's casual. You have to remember. When we first described the show as the Casual Football Friend Show, it's where the casual part of it, not the football side of it. The casual people are us.
We don't claim to be experts on anything when it comes to football or podcasting.
I don't know. I'd come to be an expert on some things. Like, what else am I not good at things? Am I not talented in other ways?
You're good at saying things, but knowing things is different.
What do you mean saying things?
That's a wicked insult.
What? That's not a wicked insult. There's no context to what that means. What do you mean?
I don't know. It's late.
You're basically calling me a bullshitter, is by saying that. You're like, now you're on your phone instead of talking.
So I was messaging people.
Yeah, I know. I saw. I'm getting the same. I'm getting the same messages. We're in the same groups.
No, it's.
I have too much courtesy not to respond.
I thought you were meant to get control of this show, Zane.
I can't control. Clearly, I can't control every variable here. Considering you're untamable, Taryn. You're untamable. Yeah. Not only do you look like a beast man, you act like a beast man.
Kinky.
Because you're hairy. Let's get to the crux of the episode. So we got a little bit of football news in this week. Notably, Paul Pogba has been unbanned, I believe, and he is now coming out.
The Pogmeister. The big headline: "I'm not a cheater." Pogba on doping ban. And the article goes in, Juventus midfielder Paul Pogba said he is not a cheater, but accepted responsibility for the failed doping test that led to a ban. Make of that what you will.
I have a feeling he's saying he's not a cheater by shouting it repeatedly.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not a cheater, but I'm responsible for being banned. What?
Well, okay. This isn't the first thing that would. This isn't the first time that would happen, though, right? Like that's happened quite a few times in history. Where, like, okay, the one that comes to mind is the Rio Ferdinand ban, if you remember that from like 2004ish, where he was late to his test. I think he just forgot it was on, and he didn't go to it, and he got banned for a year from football. And everyone was like, it's a bit harsh. But Pogba got found. I think it was. Testosterone something inside of him. Yeah. I don't know how any of this stuff works, by the way. I don't know anything about human growth hormone or any of that stuff. But as somebody who is accustomed, I was going to say, as somebody who is accustomed to using all kinds of supplements such as human growth hormone and also testosterone because of your age, what can you please explain some of it to us, Taryn?
Well, there's different elements of testosterone supplements. There's Turkestone. There's all these different types. But you take them like they're in capsules. You don't inject yourself with testosterone. You take like supplemented capsules that you can do with like. It's very similar to how you take like creatine and all those types of things. But
this is becoming the Joe Rogan podcast.
I know I've got a bit Joe Rogan there. But the thing is though that some of these supplements they are legal. They are legal depending on what milligrams that you use. It all depends on that. But there's some which go a little bit higher than that, and that falls into illegal. And that's when and that's because you're having that's really basically the MGDs of it. That's what it is. So that's the higher dosage. That's when you go into the legal areas where it's not good. So if you're having excessively high amounts of testosterone in yourself, you're cheating.
So it's always a good sign when you have to be like, you have to distinguish, by the way, it's not legal at this level, but then it becomes illegal. Like, that's not a good line to tread, is it? When it comes to sports?
Yeah, just take the legal amount. But it's like, basically, if we bring some history into this, why these type of supplements are illegal around the world. But that's why people say anabolic steroids and all those types of things. That's what it is. It's because of the testosterone levels that they put into it. That's what it comes down to. If we go back through history, during the Cold War, the Soviet Union, East Germany were pumping their athletes with testosterone. The USA did it as well. They were just better at covering it up. And East Germany, that's why the stereotypical of the East German woman came about, was because of this. That, they would they'd get their athletes, they'll pump them full of testosterone, pump them full of anabolic steroids, and then the milligrams percentage would be so high that that meant their testosterone levels were so skyrocketing. But that's why they ended up winning all their gold medals at the Olympics and stuff like that. But that's where doping came into it, and it is a form of cheating, essentially, because you're making your body so much higher than it needs to be. And that's why, when you see these types of things, they're called PEDs, performance enhancing drugs. That's what they are. So when you see some people take these PEDs in, say, sports like boxing, they get lifetime bans because the danger level is so high. It's a lot more dangerous for a boxer to take a PED than it is for a sprinter, because a sprinter's not going to hurt anyone. But a boxer will hurt someone. It's the same situation in football. It's a weird one. It'll help obviously build. A lot of people, when they get to a certain age, when they hit the age 30 above, it's really recovery. That's the thing that they want. Is your recovery levels aren't as high as they used to be when in your 20s. So you take these PEDs to try and help you with your recovery. But then it all comes down to what dosage you're taking. And when you miss your drugs test, like that we're speculating here with Paul Pogba, when you miss it, like when Rio Ferdinand did, it's like, it kind of makes think, well, why did you miss it? Have you got something to hide, kind of thing?
Right. I don't know if Pogba actually missed it, by the way. I said Rio did, but I think Pogba, he got found with something, but then, because he got a 4-year ban from football. So when he got the ban, he was basically it was a big stamp on his head saying you are now retired, effectively, because he got the ban in his late 20s. He's going next time he's going to play in his early 30s. He's come out defending himself. Sorry, you went into a lot of granular detail there, and I felt like the only appropriate thing I could do was the Joe Rogan thing, where you go, "Wow, that's so interesting," and take a fucking puff of something. I don't know, take a swig of my water and be like, "Wow, that's so interesting."
Yeah, it's going back to A-level history, where I studied the Cold War and went into sport, and that's when I discovered all these things about PEDs, and then I thought they sound like fun, but it's
nice.
That's what
it
it is.
Good for you. You now do something which has nothing to do with any of that stuff. So it's very.
I know it really paid off, didn't it?
I was gonna say, you learned that, and you were like, one day I'm going to repeat all of this information on a podcast on a Wednesday night. Is it Wednesday? Is it Monday? I don't know. But still.
I don't know. but back to Pogba. He was on a 4-year ban, but it was reduced to 18 months. It was reduced. According to the article I'm reading here, the reduced ban started on September the 11th. Careful, Zane. And with source close to the Pogba, to the Pogba. That's literally what it says. With sources close to the Pogba. That's literally what the article says. Close to the Pogba, telling BBC Sport. The Pogba. That's literally. I'm not even lying. This is on the BBC. BBC Sport. The Pogba, they call him. That he can resume training in January and will be eligible to play again from March. The Pogba. The BBC. Look, I'm not even joking here.
Are you 100% sure you didn't flub that line, and you're just blaming the BBC for being?
I'm not blaming anyone. It's just, look. I don't know if anybody can see this. Look, it's just literally, it says that. I don't know if you can see that.
It literally
says the Pogba. That's literally what they say. Yeah, the BBC, everybody. Your great outlet for all news. But yeah, that's what it is. When Zane's done laughing at the Pogba, we'll get back to this.
The thing is, I was so close to being like, "What the fuck did you just say?" So the idea that you were just reading that like word for word. Anyway, what thought I had while you were talking.
I mean, to be fair to Pogba, he has admitted to taking the supplement and says, "I take responsibility because I took the supplement." So he knows what he did. He knows he did wrong.
Right.
But it's just, yeah, I suppose there's one thing. Fair play to him for owning up to it.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just he knew what he was doing was wrong. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to.
Did he though? Did he do that, or was he just stupid? Like, is it just he was being ignorant, or did he actually knowingly take something which he knew could risk him of getting banned? Because I feel like those are two different things.
I think he might have been a bit naive to what could happen.
Right.
I think he might have been in that situation. I think he might have he took it thinking, obviously you're taking it because it's going to help with his performance. But I think he was naive to what the repercussions would be.
Yeah.
I think he probably might have thought it might be a slap on the wrist, maybe a 6-month ban, that thing. But then when they slam on a 4-year ban, that's your career over, really.
Yeah, exactly. Do you recall? I think it was Fabio Cannavaro, and funnily enough, it links into what we're going to talk about later. Because it's Fabio Cannavaro, he apparently was taking medicine for a bee sting, which contained something which
a what?
A bee sting.
A bee sting?
Yeah, he had a
bee sting! What's it for a bee sting? How's that what?
Did you think I said bee sting?
Was Cannavaro? What's Cannavaro into? And he needed medication for it, for a bee sting? Bloody hell. I always thought he was a bit saucy.
A bee sting, right?
A bee sting, not a bee sting.
A bee sting. He had a bee sting, which apparently he had to take some medicine for, which contained some banned supplement, some banned substance, and ended up getting a 1-year ban because of it. And he outright kept saying "Look, I'm just taking it for my bee sting." And they were like, "Look, Fabio, I don't care what you're into. You can't be."
Look about your personal life, Fabio. You're taking bad supplements.
You're setting a bad example for the Pogba.
The Pogba. But the thing is, though, that sometimes you don't know what's in the medication. You don't know. They might have been put certain supplements that were put into that medication where it crosses that line, but it's actually to help him out.
I was going to say, I hope none of my pharmacy friends and family are listening to this, but I've never read once what is in the medicine I take. I just take it because I got told to take it. You know what I mean? That's kind of my approach. So I can't blame a footballer for having the same approach, especially if it's actual medicine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like when people when it was COVID and people talk about the COVID vaccines. People say, "Do you know everything's in the COVID vaccine?" I'm like, everything's in the paracetamol.
I was going to say, please don't bring that crowd to our comment section. I don't have time. I'm the one in charge of the social media accounts. I don't have time to respond to these idiots. I just don't want to have to deal with that shit.
Just relive all that crap. But it's like, the thing is, it's like sometimes you don't know everything that's in your medication, and unfortunately for him, it just kind of, mind the pun, it just stung him in the butt.
So, let's moving on from the Pogba. So did you see the news about Sir Alex Ferguson? He was he was in sort of like an ambassadorial role with Manchester United, and he's been cut. They sacked him. They were like, we're no longer paying you. You're basically no longer part of this. Eric Cantona had a really fun thing to say about this. He said, and I quote, he said, "Sir Alex Ferguson should be able to do anything he wants at the club until the day he dies. Such a lack of respect. It's totally scandalous. Sir Alex Ferguson will be my boss forever, and I throw them all in a big bag of shit."
That's a very Cantona thing to say.
I love it. I think I now think anytime I'm annoyed at somebody, I'm going to be like, I will throw you into a big bag of shit. That is now going to be my go-to insult.
Yeah. there's something powerful about it. You know,
Yeah.
I'll not kick you in, not kick the shit out of you, not throw shit at you. I will literally pick you up and throw you into a big bag of shit.
And it's like,
which reminds me, I've got to take the I've got to take the bins out later. But it's
how is he going to collect that? How is he going to collect the big bag of shit? Like, what's he going to be doing? Do you think Cantona's going to be like toilet dipping people's houses and be collecting their sanitation?
Does Cantona hang around big bags of shit? I don't know. Does he? We don't know what he does in his spare time, but he will throw some. And it says it like he's done it before. Like he probably has thrown someone in a big bag of shit before. And it's Cantona. I wouldn't be surprised if he has.
Rumor has it that Crystal Palace fan that he kicked later got thrown into a bag of shit after he got kicked.
I'm not surprised. Yeah. I'm not surprised.
He never came out.
He did get thrown into a big bag of shit.
He drowned. That Crystal Palace fan is dead. He drowned. He drowned in he drowned in the big bag of shit.
His whole life just flushed away.
How many of these are you going to squeeze into this episode? Anyway. I like to think we're going to move on.
Many things were squeezed out, but yeah.
I like to think the next.
You bought the big bag of shit.
I know I did, and I need to stop doing that. I appreciate I mentioned big bags of shit way too often in my life. It's just when my hero Eric Cantona is referencing throwing somebody to a big bag of shit, I suddenly feel like justified, verified in my life and my life choices.
There you go.
But yeah, so Fergie's been sacked. Fergie's been sacked in the sense that. They were paying him a salary of like £2 million a year to do sort of like ambassadorial duties. So he'd show up and like he was in like a advert for Wrexham or something, and he's been involved in Manchester United like on a board level, under board level basically, and. He's had a number of roles, not sort of working a 9 to 5, but he's in and out. And like, for example, when Jude Bellingham went to go see Manchester United before he was choosing between them and Dortmund, they got Fergie to talk to him because it was like, it's Sir Alex Ferguson. Maybe you and your prestige will be able to convince him to sign for us. So I think you are losing an element of like a pillar of the club by getting rid of him, and I feel like in the grand scheme of things, €2 million isn't a whole lot of money. But I also think maybe it's like this new era trying to stamp their authority in like this is our club now, and we don't want any kind of relics of the past to be symbolic of a different kind of influence. I personally don't think it's a good idea. Because again, I think it just attracts negative PR. Like, especially when you've got like a club legend like Eric Cantona speaking out against you. Like Eric Cantona, Sir Alex Ferguson, these are people who basically built Manchester United. They built Manchester United into what they are, and they wouldn't be the commercial powerhouses that they are now without Sir Alex Ferguson. So, yeah, there is an argument that he probably wasn't worth getting rid of, especially when they're making a stupid amount of money every year and wasting a lot of it on players who are a bit subpar. But yeah, what do you think? What do you think about like ceremonial roles? Do you think even if somebody's a legend, they aren't worth keeping around if they're no longer like directly contributing?
I think it depends on the legend themselves. I mean, Fergie he's part of the Manchester United establishment. That's what he is. He's part of that, the framework. Man United were always a big club, even before Fergie turned up there. But he turned them into, like you said, the commercial aspect of what Manchester United are today. People wouldn't know like who Manchester United are if it wasn't for what Ferguson did with that club. And obviously with Eric Cantona, the class of '92, we've all got stories from it. We all like remember what Fergie did, and looking at how Man United have been since he stopped being their manager, they've not, he just speaks volumes what his what his stamp was on there, and so and I can understand that why they would. I can see it from both points. Like, yes, you do. Ferguson's kind of like the old guard. He's part of that like. The people who've been here for a while, but you kind of want to, when you take over a club, you want to create a new, you want to keep the old identity, but you want to kind of mold it into a new identity. And Ferguson, as much of a legend he is, he's part of that old identity. That's what he is. But at the same time, if he had maybe one good season at Man United in his whole career, but then he just was shit and then he got fired, then yeah, you can kind of like justify this. But he was there for a long time. He won a record number of Premier League titles at the time. He won the Champions League, won the first English club to do the treble. He was there. He was the one who spearheaded all that. He turned Man United into the commercial hub that they are now, where they are still the biggest club in the United Kingdom at the moment. They are still the biggest club. As much as some people might say, there might be a small argument for Liverpool. There's some people try to say Man City. No, it's Arsenal. There's a little bit of an argument, but it's still Manchester United. There's no doubt about it. The commercial value of Manchester United there, and it's really because of what Fergie did with that team and what he developed, the legacy that he left behind. So to kind of say to him, I mean, there's one aspect that he is getting quite old now, so he can't do all the duties that he probably was going to have done in the past. But it's not like, I can't think of any real prime examples really. It's like he's the one. It's hard to think of any examples because he stands out amongst all of them. It's like the only nearest one I could think of, maybe Arsene Wenger at Arsenal, but Arsene Wenger at Arsenal, he did a great amount of things, but it was nowhere near what Fergie did. So it's just, I understand the move, but I can understand why it's not the best move. And even like another person who's part of that establishment, Cantona, to come out and say like, no, this is wrong and everything. But I do like, we will always have club legends. Like we had let's see, we had Craig Shakespeare, who used to be like an ambassador for the club, and everything. But it's we had that. All clubs have ambassadors who've played or managed and done great things. They all have them. But Ferguson's just that whole other level. No one's got him like Fergie. But it's just, it's I understand it, but I don't fully agree with it.
Did you actually mean Craig Shakespeare there? I just realised that you said Craig Shakespeare.
What did I say?
You said Craig Shakespeare. Did you actually mean Craig Shakespeare?
Well, Leicester City?
Yeah.
He was an ambassador.
Was he? I don't think he was. I think he was just the manager for a bit. And
he was a manager, but he kind of ambassaded, a bit of shit every day.
I don't know. I feel like this is another Is this another the Pogba situation when you've read the wrong thing?
I think this is where we need to edit it out.
I was going to say, do you mean like Alan Birchnell, where he's like...
That's it!
The Birch, yeah. I was going to say. He's been part of the furniture kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Birch, that's it. Oh my god, I've fucking got that wrong.
I feel like the flag behind you is about to suffocate you. It's about to jump on your face and strangle you.
So Leicester, we had Alan Birchnell. That's it. So we've had that. But Craig Shakespeare was there as well. But Alan Birchnell at Leicester City, he was like our ambassador for many, many years. But there's not anyone who really compares to Fergie.
No.
He's like a whole... Like we always say that this person's in a league of their own. This person, he was on a league and he still is.
Yeah.
He still is recognised, and I still recognise him as the greatest Premier League manager so far. But from what we've seen, he's still the best. That's what it is.
It's I just think it's causing PR issues for no reason. Like I generally do. I feel like the money isn't as tight as they make out. So the idea that you're cutting a club legend, I think, is more the ceremony behind it. But even though they're not in like the best favour when it comes to fans at the moment anyway, with how the team are performing and being run, so it's hard to say really what the end game is here. But anyway, moving on to the final bit of news that you wanted to mention. You wanted to give a certain Brazilian footballer a shout out because you saw him on TV on the weekend, but it wasn't at the football.
Yes, we were watching the boxing in different houses, but we were watching the boxing, and there was a little bit of a square off between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, whose dads once fought, so that means they must fight.
I find that concept so funny, by the way. Like, it's not to get too much into into boxing.
It's a bit Shakespearean, isn't it?
Yeah,
my father fought you, now I must fight you.
The idea is like this is now like a legacy of beef, basically. So it's like we must both have children who are around the same age that they can also compete with each other and fight each other.
It's going to be like some weird kind of Romeo and Juliet thing, like the Bens and the Eubanks going to be the Capulets and the Montagues, and then Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. Then their sons will fight, and they will continue fighting each other. Then one day, Conor Benn's great granddaughter will fall in love with Chris Eubank Jr.'s great grandson, and then they'll be like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" You know, it's gonna happen. But
I would love to see it. That'd be a great retelling of Romeo and Juliet, by the way, like a modern day. They did that one back in the 90s, which was like, Romeo and Juliet, but the modern day, and it'll be like they do that one again, but this time it's like London in like 2050. It'd be awesome. I'd love that.
Yeah, you know what? There is actually the makes of what could be a little Shakespearean thing going on there.
That really is Shakespearean.
But what happened was Chris Eubank Jr. won his fight quite convincingly.
Yeah.
And then Conor Benn got in the ring, and they were squaring off at each other, and then Neymar appeared out of nowhere. And he was apparently he's like Eubank's mate or something. And he's like Neymar, like that. And then suddenly Conor Benn speaking Spanish. He's speaking Spanish to Neymar, who comes from Brazil where they speak Portuguese. And it's all kicking off there. And it's just like, it was Neymar was there. It was just a very weird thing. But he plays in the Saudi League, so yeah.
It was so surreal. So it's like, and Eubank brings him up and he's like, and I swear to Neymar, I will beat your... Like, what? Neymar?
He's swearing to Neymar.
And Neymar's just there like, okay. You know, he doesn't really know what's going on. He's just finding it fun.
Neymar looked like he got dragged into the ring. It was like he was on his way to the toilet, and then they just dragged him in there.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what happened. He saw Neymar got up and went to the toilet. Neymar's like, "Oh, Neymar needs a shit." And
he talks about himself in the third person. Neymar must shit now.
I heard that the Pogba keeps calling himself the Pogba, so I needed to go for
Pogba, yeah.
Neymar needs to go for a shit. So he squares off, and then Eubank's just like, "Hey, wait, that's Neymar. Come on. He's like, oh, God fucking damn it. Bullshit.
God, this guy.
Speaking about Conor Benn, I think he's actually like raised in Spain, even though he's English.
He is, yeah.
That's why he speaks like
that. Nigel Benn, after retirement, moved to, I think he lived in Mallorca or somewhere, I don't know where, but I know he lived in Spain
because he was,
for a period of time.
He was scared. He was like, I'm worried that if I have a daughter, then she'll fall in love with Chris Eubank's son, so I need to move to a different country.
So he fled to Spain. So he lived there for many years, so it's no surprise that Conor Benn can speak fluent Spanish.
Or is Spanish.
Or maybe he is.
Yeah.
With that, although he had a weird look at the boxing. I don't know what look he was going for, but it did make sense.
I am not in favour of us insulting boxers purely because I don't want to get beaten up anytime soon. I don't feel like...
Oh, no. That's the thing. When you see boxers, you realise you're in a room where you can't beat anyone up.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I feel like when you're in a room with boxers, like, you firmly know they could kill you if they wanted to.
Oh yeah. You're definitely the beta male in the room there.
Yeah, 100%. Let's get on to the main topic of this evening.
Okay.
Before
Conor Benn. Topic.
I was going to say, before Conor Benn shows up to your house and strangles you with your Leicester scarf, and he's the Leicester flag behind you, and he's like, you forget, Craig, you forgot Alan Birchnell.
I know. Terrible that is.
Alan Birchnell is the Paris of this Romeo and Juliet. What was he, the Mercutio? I can't remember. Anyway.
I'm not getting into that.
Yeah, this is too much. Right, so I thought this would be a really fun one to do, a little topical episode, switch things up a bit, because, we like to do a little review of the entire weekend's football normally, and I feel sometimes it's good to throw in a topic, and we can just have a little bit of nostalgia, talk about where we think things are going to go. So, this week's topic is, I was looking at the Juventus team that went back and got relegated to Serie B. So, I don't know, for our younger listeners, what happened back in 2005, 2006 is something called the Calciopoli scandal. And basically, Juventus were the main culprit of it, where they were bribing referees to match fix things, basically. And they got relegated as their punishment. And what kind of astounds me is if you look back at the team that decided to stay with them, the players that decided to stay with them and that ended up playing in Serie B, it's nuts. Like, they had in Serie B in 2006, they had Gigi Buffon, Giorgio Chiellini, Alessandro Del Piero, Pavel Nedved, Claudio Marchisio, Mauro Camoranesi, David Trezeguet, Legorotali, Sebastian Giovinco. But players who shouldn't be anywhere near Serie B. They had David Trezeguet, who famously won the Euros for France back in Euro 2000, strike partner to Thierry Henry. They had Pavel Nedved, one of the best players of all time, won the Ballon d'Or if I'm not mistaken. An amazing left winger. They had Alessandro Del Piero, one of my favorite players of all time. One man club. He famously talked about this period, and he was saying how he's like, at this time Juventus did so much for me. How could I ever leave? So, looking back at that team, right, that is such an absurd team for a Serie B team. So, as you can imagine, they just stormed to the title without any kind of setbacks whatsoever. So, what we're going to do today is discuss whether we think if a similar thing happens to a certain English team who are currently under investigation, i.e. the Manchester City, if Man City get relegated to the Championship, who would stick around? And who is going to be the Del Piero of Man City? So, Taryn, let's go one by one, I guess, one by one, through the Man City squad. Yeah. And let's talk this one out. Okay.
Well, let's kickstart with the captain, Kyle Walker. Does he stay or does he go?
I think Kyle Walker...
I think he stays.
Right.
Because I don't think anyone else would sign him.
I think...
But it's... But then he might go to somewhere... I don't know, who would take Kyle Walker if he was to leave?
I'm just going to make a list here. I'm going to make a list of stays and goes. So,
okay.
The theme of the episode is obviously the Clash song of like, should I stay or should I go?
Yeah.
So, right, we're gonna say I think Kyle Walker is he's 34. He's unlikely to get a giant contract anywhere else except if he went to Saudi or America. So,
I didn't even consider Saudi as an option actually. Some of them might just go over there for a payday.
Yeah, this is why I think Kyle Walker... Okay, he's a captain, he's English, he probably feels that he's been there quite a while, so maybe he feels like he owes Man City to an extent, but also he's on a lot of money. I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna say let's go for stays.
Yeah, I think he stays.
Yes. Okay.
Alright, next up we'll go with the third captain. Ruben Diaz
goes easily. Goes 100%.
Yeah, there's not even a debate on that one. He's straight out there.
Yeah.
As soon as they get hit with it, he's gone.
Yeah, Ruben Diaz goes immediately. Ruben Diaz is one of the best centre backs in the world. He's still young. Yeah. He's still not even in his prime. There is no way he stays. He'd go to a Real Madrid. Like, he's that good. He's so good.
Yeah, he'd be wasted in the Championship. It'd be a pointless season for him to do that. He'd be gone.
He'd be gone.
All right, next one. Another English player, Mr. John Stones.
I think Stones.
I think Stones will be an interesting one actually.
The Stones stays or Stones goes?
But yeah, I don't actually know with John Stones.
That's a hard one.
He's a weird one. It's a weird one actually. Would John Stones stay?
Because
the thing is that when you look at it, Man City going down, they'll go straight back up anyway. So it'd be.
How old is John Stones? Is he?
John Stones. He's not old. He's well. I say that he's 30. So he's. I say not old. He's still younger than me, but he's Saudi. John Stones goes to Saudi.
No, I don't think that happens because if he goes to Saudi, he loses his place in the England squad. He's still.
That's true.
He's still
that's
England.
He's still essential to the England squad.
Yeah.
But I think if Man City go down and John Stones stays with Man City, I don't think that will hinder his place at the England squad.
I can see Stones going to like a Chelsea. I think he's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can see him moving to another English
Yeah.
club and it being.
He'll stay in the Premier League. Yeah.
Yeah, because Man City, I can imagine Stones goes. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Stones
say
goes.
I'm gonna say goes. Okay, so Stones goes.
Next up, Nathan Ake.
Who,
He goes.
Yeah, he'd go. He's young, isn't he? He's still quite young.
Yeah, he's very young. Well, he's not very young. He's 29.
Okay, so a year younger than Stones.
Yeah, younger than Stones, but he. Yeah, I don't think he'd stay.
No.
Yeah, I think he'd go.
International defender for the Netherlands. He's first choice left back, left centre back as well. I think for the Netherlands. So
I could see him leaving and going to a German team or something.
Yeah, I could see him go to Bayern or a somewhere on the continent. Go to like Juve, go Bayern, go one of those teams. He'd be a starring defender.
Oh, Borussia Dortmund. I could see him just going there. I don't think he would stick around.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so so far we've not seen much loyalty.
No, as you'd expect. Expect.
Yeah, that's it. Mateo Kovacic.
Kovacic.
I say Kovacic.
No, you don't.
Kovacic.
Right.
Yeah. I think he just fucks off, doesn't he?
I think he has to go. I think he'd go.
Yeah.
He's really good, and also they didn't get him for very much, so I can't imagine he's on a crazy amount of money.
No.
He probably doesn't even have that much longer left in his contract. I don't know this for sure, but I think Kovacic goes. I don't really see. I mean, he could probably still play for like a top 4 team, and even if they go down, like I'm sure he'd. I mean, you can say that about most of these players that they would still.
He might go back to Chelsea.
Yeah, go back to Chelsea.
I can see. Chelsea, he might go to Spurs actually.
I can see him going back to Italy because he was at Inter before.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I can imagine him going back to Italy and going to like a Juve or an Inter or even an AC Milan. So I'm gonna say goes. Okay.
Okay, it's the big one now. I'm literally going through their list here. It's the big one. Erling Haaland
goes. Obviously goes. He's never going to play a year in the Championship.
He leaves straight away.
Immediately. There's not even a close.
But the question is, does Haaland stay in the Premier League?
No, I think he goes to Madrid. I think he goes to... because that was basically his plan, is he was saying, like, he mapped out his career, essentially, and was like, I'm going to go to a Leipzig, to a Dortmund to a bigger team, to Man City, and then Man City eventually to a Madrid, I think. Yeah.
If he has got Madrid written all over it.
Yeah, and if they got relegated, I think like Man City's bargaining power to keep him and to keep him happy, more importantly, I think is gone. I also think for his sake, like it just doesn't make sense to spend a year in the Championship when that's another year where you could be breaking records in a top level division. You know what I mean? Like if he was,
it makes no sense because he's 24 now.
Yeah.
So if Man City go down, he'd be 25. He's going to spend a valuable year in his career in the Championship when he doesn't need to.
Not going to happen.
Wouldn't make sense.
No, especially if he wants to break like. If he wants to break, say, if he stayed at another Premier League team, if he wants to break Shearer's record, he's not going to waste a year in the Championship. He's going to move to another Premier League team if that's the case. But I don't see him moving to another Premier League team. I think he'd go to Madrid.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Jack Grealish.
Ooh, I think Grealish goes. Yeah, I think Grealish is too good.
But where would he go to?
I don't know, but he can play anywhere really. Like Grealish is still really good.
But it would be pretty sucky for him. Like he left Villa and then to go Man City, won the Champions League and everything. But then that team got relegated, and now Villa are in the Champions League.
It's funny, but I could also see him going back to Villa. Like I could imagine him going...
It was slightly quite nicely going back in there, actually.
I can imagine him going back to Villa and being like, cool, I had my years of, like, winning all the trophies. Now I'm going to go back home, go be Villa's, like, talisman again, and just, see off the rest of his career there. I can see that happening. Like, it makes a lot of sense. He still loves that club.
Yeah.
So
but I think he'll leave. I don't necessarily think he'll go back to Villa, but he'll stay in the
Aston
Premier
Villa.
League. He'll stay in the Premier League, but I'm not too sure where he would go. I'm not too sure on that one.
Yeah, maybe. Well, this isn't a game of where he'll go. It's just a game.
Yeah, that's true. We're just doing a league. Now this next one, it'll be stupid if he stayed. It's a Jeremy Doku.
Jeremy Doku. Doku would go to like PSG or something.
It would be ridiculous if he stayed. Okay.
Doku.
All right. Now, Man City's fourth captain, Rodri.
Rodri goes. I think Rodri might go in real life, regardless of if they go down or not. Like,
regardless of what happens, he's just gone.
Yeah, I think he's eventually going to go to a Madrid or something. They're interested in him. I don't think he's going to spend his whole career at Man City. He's had a fair few good years there now. I say good years, amazing years. So I can see him going to Madrid or one Barcelona to sort out their financials, maybe them, but Madrid have been interested in him in the last summer. It would make more sense if they did get relegated, then he would definitely leave. He's the best player in the world in that position, and that's such a key position for any football team. As somebody at the base of the midfield, I can imagine he goes immediately.
Yeah, he gets snapped up straight away.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, a person who is part of basically this current Man City establishment, Kevin De Bruyne.
I think De Bruyne will go to Saudi, regardless of if they go down. I think De Bruyne at the end of this season goes, no matter what.
You think he's run his course now?
I run his course. I think he's basically in bonus time. He's had an amazing career. I think it's time to see off, have one final paycheck, and then retire. I mean, he's already 34. So
he's 33, 34. He's not the same player he was 3-4 seasons ago.
Even then, I don't think
he's still good, but there has been an obvious decline. But he's still class. I think Saudi paycheck that one.
I don't think he's declined as much as like you would expect.
Oh, no, not as much as others, but he's noticeable.
Yeah.
But to be fair, he has had a few injuries as well. But it's he's got Saudi paycheck on that one.
Yeah.
All right. Stefan Ortega.
I think he goes. Oh, actually, no. I think Ortega stays. Here's the thing. I think Ortega stays and becomes the number one.
Yeah, I think that'll be an opportunity for Ortega then.
Yeah, I think Ortega stays. I think Ortega stays because I think when we get to Edison, he goes.
Oh, fucking don't jump the shark. All right. Next one, Gundogan. Here he goes.
Gundogan, I think stays because he's basically.
I think he stays.
I think Gundogan stays because he's kind of close to retiring anyway. So I can see him.
Well, I think it's safe to say the older players will either stay or go to Saudi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that brings us nicely onto Bernardo Silva.
I think Bernardo goes to... He's been talking about going to Barcelona for a long time. I think he finally does it if they go down.
But has the window kind of... I think that's a wrong analogy. Has the train kind of missed, like, in terms of the best time to go to Barcelona with Bernardo Silva?
I think he's the kind of player that, regardless of age, and also Barcelona are also the type of club that, regardless of like the period they're going through, the idea of playing for Barcelona and being able to tell people you did that at some point in your career is like, it's special. And I think Bernardo is the kind of person, like, he wants to play there. They want him at some point. I think it'll happen.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Right. I can never pronounce this guy's name. But, Guardiola,
I think, goes.
He's young.
He's young.
There's no reason for him to stay.
He's young. He's class. I think he goes.
Yeah. Okay. Manuel Akanji.
I think he goes as well. He'll go to like a Bayern. Yeah. He's very good.
Yeah. I love how now we're just rattling through them.
Yeah, because it's easy. Some of them is easy, yeah.
Yeah, some of these are easy. Like this one, I already know he goes. He's 20 years old. There's no reason for him to say it's Savinho. He will go.
Ooh, I think he stays.
No, I think he goes because he's quite young and he's got his whole life.
I think.
The only thing I would say, he's not really had many appearances at Man City yet. So a lot of players might kind of think like, oh, I've now got an opportunity to actually get some game time. But then you could go to another club that's in the Premier League and trying to get that little game time there.
I think he stays because he's not going to go to a club that's bigger than Man City because he's not proven himself at a higher level,
No.
and also he has a chance to be their right winger for like the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And he's so young. He's only 20, so he's so young.
Yeah.
He wouldn't really be giving up much to stay another year while they're in the Championship to then go back to the Premier League. I think he stays because his age profile, it's not like he's in danger of hitting his peak while he's in the Championship.
Oh, it's nowhere near it yet.
Nowhere near it. So I think he stays.
Another one who might have an opportunity to get some game time if he decides to stay is Mateus Nunes.
Ooh. Is he still there?
He's still there.
Really?
I mean, he's still there. But
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. If they go down to the Championship, it might be an opportunity for someone like him to go get some game time as well and actually make his mark.
I'm shocked he didn't leave.
Eh?
I'm shocked he didn't leave already. I thought he already left because he didn't really play at all last season, did he?
No, but he's still there.
He's still
for some
there,
reason.
yes.
I think. Yeah, I think he brings it. I think he carries the kit.
Okay, well,
But,
we'll have him stay because they have to have some players at some point. Like
we're kind of wiping out their whole team here.
Yeah.
Edison, we already talked about. He goes.
Yeah, Edison goes. Edison had already been in talks with other clubs this summer. He has had like astronomical offers from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So I imagine if they went down, he's one of the best
Yeah.
keepers, if not the best keeper in the world. Well, at the very least, one of the best keepers. I think he goes.
He goes.
Yeah.
Now here's an interesting one. Scott Carson.
Scott Carson will probably stay.
Because he's pushing 40 now. So he
stays or
he might say.
retires.
Eh?
He either stays or he retires. He's not going to go to another club.
I think one or the other. I think he'll just, if he stays, he's just seeing out the rest of his career then.
Yes.
All right, now, this will be an interesting one. Phil Foden. Now he'll go. Phil Foden has to go.
Okay. I think Foden is this team's Del Piero.
Oh, you think so?
I think Foden is the Del Piero of Man City in the sense that he's going to be like, I've been here my entire career. I love this club, even if, it's a soulless conglomerate. I want to get them back up to where they should be. I think that Del Piero kind of local boy, the magic of helping your team back to where they should be. I think Foden goes and they build the team completely around him, and he's just everything.
I think with this situation with Man City, if they go down, it's very similar to what we talked about with Juventus going down. It's not like say if a certain club, if Wolves go down or if Everton go down or if Leicester go down again, where will they struggle to get back up? No, they'll bounce straight back up. So you're just spending one season outside the Premier League in the lower leagues, and then you're going to come straight back anyway. So it might be, so I can see what you're saying, that Phil Foden, he might just stick around just to get Man City back up there.
Yeah, I can see it.
In terms of, then he kind of, there's no excuse then. It does become a Man City legend in the future.
Yeah.
But all right. So we'll say he'll stay, but he'll have reservations.
Yes.
All right. Next one. Oscar Bob.
I think Oscar Bob stays. I think eventually that front line, they have to have a rebuilt team, right? So that front line will probably be Bob, Foden, and Savio.
Well, Bob is in the same situation that we were talking about earlier. That he hasn't played a lot, but he's very young.
Yeah.
So this will be an opportunity for him to kind of get some game time, kind of show what he's got, and with a whole chunk of this team will go.
Yeah.
But then they've got some great young talent who haven't had a chance to really show themselves yet, and they get an opportunity to do it. And Oscar Bob's going to be one of those.
I think so. Yeah. So Bob makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Okay. Rico Lewis.
I think he stays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
same profile.
same situation.
Yeah. Same profile as Savio. Young, very young. Local, came up through the youth team. I think he stays and he becomes the main. Because right now he's still in and out of the team. I think he becomes kind of like how. I'm trying to think of a Leicester. I was going to say like how Chowdhury became more important for Leicester last season, but I feel like it's a very different situation because Lewis would probably become a starter every single week. But you know what I mean, though.
Yeah, the principle's there. Yeah, like Chowdhury, with the whole bulk of the team had gone, it was now time for Chowdhury to come in to
step up.
Yeah. And that's a similar situation with this next one, James McAteer.
Yeah, he stays.
Again, if he's not on loan again. I think he will. He'll get his opportunities out. So I think we're now coming down to like going through players where this will be their time to actually shine.
Yeah.
So if anything, Man City going down for a few of these players might be actually beneficial.
100% it does. Otherwise, they're going to have to leave and go to a different team to get regular game time because a lot of them are sort of like early 20s going into mid 20s.
Yeah.
You need to be playing at that point. You need to be a regular by the time you're in your mid 20s.
And the last one in their starting a load of talent
squad.
Is Josh Wilson-Esbrand.
The word is squad.
Twats. That's what I call him. Josh Wilson-Esbrand.
Wilson-Esbrand.
Yeah, he'll stay. He's young.
Yeah,
he's young. He's made quite a few appearances. Well, he's not made any appearances to be honest, but he's again, it's the same situation. Like Man City have sent him on loan.
Yeah,
but it's just, like, he's made no appearances for Man City yet.
Yeah,
but same situation. And I think that's what we've found. That's what we've kind of found with these younger players. If you're either really old and you're just seeing out your career, you'll stick around anyway.
Yeah.
But if you're really, really young and you haven't made any appearances yet, this will be your opportunity to actually get a chance to do that.
And it's funny because this is kind of harkening back to Juventus, the team that went down. The people who stuck around were the veterans or the people who had been there for such a long time that they built up a real affinity with the team. So, your Buffons, your Kovac's, your Del Pieros, your Nedveds, your Marquizios and Camoranesi's and Trezeguet's. These are all people who loved the team.
And they've been there for so long.
They'd been there for so long. I mean, Nedved, he was easily mid-30s. Del Piero was 30s. Kovac was definitely 30s.
Yeah, even Buffon was in his 30s at that point.
Buffon was in his 30s. Chiellini was still sort of at the beginning of his career, but was still very good at that point. He could have.
How weird is that?
Yeah, I know.
Chiellini was in the beginning of his career back then.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So weird.
Trezeguet was again sort of 30s, but all of these players, they could easily have turned their back on the club and left. And they stuck it out and got them back to Serie A. Looking at the team that we have left for Man City, we have Ortega, Walker, Gundogan, Savio, Nunez, Carson, Foden, Favre, Lewis, McAtee, and Wilson-Esbrand. So obviously they need to plug the gaps, buy some other players.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, they would.
I'm sure they'll still buy players in.
They would.
They'll build the squad up, and Man City will bounce straight back up again.
No doubt there are a number of hot prospects in their youth teams who we haven't heard of yet. Who would probably step up, kind of like a Casey McAteer, where it's like, where did you come from? All of a sudden, he plays every game. So, yeah, I think they get these guys. They go buy Tom Cannon to replace Erling Haaland. A like-for-like replacement.
Of course, exactly the same.
And they probably go straight back up. I just feel like it was a really fun exercise. So Ortega in goal, Walker right back, Gundogan centre mid alongside Nunez and Foden, Savio right wing, Bob left wing, McAtee somewhere in mid, Wilson-Esbrand. I think he's a defender. Lewis is a defender. So they have enough players to make a starting 11.
And then they'll bulk that team up with a few new signings, and then literally a couple seasons later they'll be right back in the league, back in the Premier League anyway. So it's just it'll just be a blip. It'll just be a blip for Man City.
I think Man City.
So they'll be right back in there.
Man City are the kind of team, right, that they could easily buy players who are at lower Premier League division starters, if you know what I mean. So if you were a starter for, say, Everton, but Man City in the Championship came in for you, you'd probably go because you probably get promoted and then be able to build your career even more when staying at Man City,
Yeah, because the prospect is better.
Prospect.
That's what it is.
The money's
the
better.
prospect is much better.
The money will be a lot
Oh yeah,
better.
the money will be better. The money talks anyway. The money will be better anyways. Even if Man City go to the Championship, the money will still be better there.
Yeah.
And the idea of you either stay with Everton where you're risking relegation every season, or you go to Man City who are going to get promoted back up, and then you'll be playing Champions League football in a couple of seasons' time.
Or even us, like if you were, say, the starting midfielder for Leicester and then Man City the Championship came in for you, you'd probably go.
Oh, I would hate it if Man City went down and then they put in a bid for Benanate.
That'd be so annoying. But then again, they wouldn't be buying him from us. They'd be buying him from Brighton anyway, so it's cool. We wouldn't be the ones who'd have to be insulted. It'd be Brighton. But yeah, that's kind of like the hot topic for this week. If anybody has any suggestions of like weird concepts they want us to talk about, happy to take any suggestions.
We're always happy to fill the time.
Fill the time.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were gonna make another joke. I've definitely got like brain fry at this point from laughing too much from the Pogba.
The Pogba.
The Pogba.
Yes.
I was like, God. I when you did that, I was like, God, Taron's such an idiot. And then you showed it to the screen. I was like, oh, okay. BBC's an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. You probably think Taron, you dumbass. But it's like, no, it says the Pogba.
Oh, God. Well, thank you to everybody who's joined us for today. It has been a wonderful time. We look forward to Man City actually getting relegated. No, but you know what I mean. It's been a fun time.
It's been interesting.
Yes,
it's been interesting.
Please do reach out to the show if you have any suggestions for more topical episodes. Let us know if you like these just as much as the normal roundup ones, and maybe we can do more of these. But in the meantime, I've been Zane.
I've been Taron.
And we'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye.